Okay, so these are a couple of exercises from the textbook that they asked you to do in the lesson. Well, they didn't ask you number 50, but 49. So how do we write a polynomial that meets these criteria? Well, I see I got to have a fourth degree equation. I also see that if x equals 3, that means one of my factors is x minus 3, right? Because we say if x equals 3, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, and I think it's x minus 3. And we can do the same thing with x minus 1, so that becomes x plus 1. And then we get this complex number. Now, we certainly could do the exact same thing. We could write it out as x minus 2 and x plus I. And then remember how complex numbers occur in conjugate pairs. You know why, right? Because of the quadratic formula. And I'll show you why in a second if you don't. So that tells me if x equals 2 minus I is a 0, that tells me that 2 plus I is also a 0. And what's nice about that is then I see that I have four zeros. And that the fundamental theorem of algebra says, take a look at the biggest degree, and that's how many there should be. So we know there needs to be 4 of them. So that's the x minus 2 minus I. So I could expand all these out, and I mean, I could certainly distribute this all out and work with the i's and the I squareds. I don't really want to do that, and I'm not sure this shortcut comes up in the materials. So let's just concentrate on the 0 they told us. I mean, I'll do the other one too, but you'll see how we don't have to worry about it. Plus I. So one thing we can do is let's get the 2 over with the x, and I'll do that same thing over here. And then I want to get rid of the I, and the way we get rid of i's is we square them, right? When we square I, we get -1. And I'll square this too. So that gives me, that's a binomial. I got to write it twice in FOIL, right? So x squared minus 4x plus 4. And then negative number squared is a positive, and I squared is -1. And if I do that same thing over here to this other conjugate pair, I get the same x squared minus 4x plus 4. And I also get -1. See, I'm getting exactly the same thing. So I only have to worry about one of them. I only have to worry about the one they gave me, because that's going to become x squared minus 4x plus 4. So what that gives me is, here, let me come back up here and erase some of those complex roots that I added. Because I can just take this one and put it right up there. Slap parentheses around it. And take care of that. Now let's make sure you understand where the conjugate pairs come from. If this were the equation I was solving, I would throw that in the quadratic formula. So let's see, -b plus or minus the square root of -b squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4. Something not right here. Oh, 5. This should be 5. This should be 5. You probably caught me on that. We were probably saying, what the heck is he doing? It's a good thing I checked. It would have been awful to do all that work and get it wrong. Let's see. So that C is going to be 5, not 4. So that's going to give me all over 2 times A, which is 2 times 1. So that becomes 4 plus or minus the square root of -4, right? Because that's negative. This part here is -20. 16 minus 20 is -4, all over 2. And square root of -4, we're going to think of that as the square root of -1 times the square root of 4. Well, that works out to be 4 plus or minus 2i all over 2. And then, of course, the 2 cancels out. So if I can factor out a 2 and cancel it out of both of them, so that's going to give me 2 plus or minus I. And if you think about it, I got 2 plus I is a 0 and 2 minus I is a 0. And there's the conjugate pair. See, they told us 2 minus I, and we know the other one came from 2 plus I. So that's why they occur in conjugate pairs, because of the plus or minus from the quadratic formula. Okay, so now let's go back and finish this problem off. So I've got this thing. I'm going to expand it all out. Actually, maybe before I do, I should make sure that f of 0, see it says f of 0 is 30. Let's drop 0. If this is f of x, let's drop 0 and let's find f of 0 and make sure I get 30. So that's going to be negative 3 times 1 times, let's see, 0, 0 minus 0 plus 5 is 5. So that's only negative 15. And they're telling me it's supposed to be 30. So there must be some stretch factor here, right here, that will convert that. So here's what I've got. I know f of 0 is 30, don't I? So is a times negative 15. Now you might have been able to realize when we did this that a is just going to be equal to negative 2. But if it's a weird number, it's better to write it out this way. I mean, often they're fractions. So this polynomial will look like this: negative 2 times x minus 3, Dan, times x plus 1 times x squared minus 4x plus 5. And then you just got to expand that out, right? I would probably, I don't know, what do I want to do? I think it'd be easier just to do it 3 times here. So I'm going to distribute that x through. So let's see, x cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x. And I'll distribute the 1 through. So that gives me x squared minus 4x plus 5. You know what I'm doing here, right? I'm just distributing. I hit the x with everything, and then I hit the 1 with everything, and then I'm just going to combine like terms. So I get x cubed minus 3x squared plus x plus 5. Then I get to distribute that x minus 3 through. So that's going to give me x to the 4th minus 3x to the 3rd plus x squared plus 5x. And I got to put the negative 3 through. So let's see, negative 3x cubed minus 9x, plus 9x squared. Then plus 3 or minus 3x, minus 3x. I'm going to have to squeeze in that negative 15 at the end. Can I maximize this? It's already maximized. Just a minute here. I get the text. It's on. I'm doing the screen. Like a paper. Here, I'm going to move the whole thing over. There we go. So what is it supposed to be? Minus 15. Yeah. So negative, let's see, negative 3x minus 15. So what I write plus. Where's my pen? Come on. Find that eraser. So minus 15. And we'll combine those. So x to the 4th minus 6x cubed plus 10x squared minus or plus 2x minus 15. Now, as long as I didn't make a mistake. And then we got that negative 2 that we have that stretch factor. So negative 2x to the 4th plus 12x cubed minus 20x squared minus 4x plus 30. And that f of 0 would be 30 in that case. So that's that polynomial in standard form. I mean, honestly, I would just prefer you left it this way. If this were not a multiple choice question, just leave it this factored form way. I mean, that's so much easier. Why have to expand it all out? You know, just insert that negative 2 in front there. And I mean, it's a lot more useful this way. This way I can see there's 2 real roots, and then I'd have to ask about those other roots that's going on. Okay, so if you want, try number 50 as a practice, and then, or you can go back and try those exercises. There's a bunch of them in the lesson. There's more on this page you can do even. So give me a yell if you need some help.